Welcome to American Wall Street, where we dive deep into the untold truths of human behavior, strategies, and mind games. Let's start with a question that could change how you view relationships forever. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about attracting women is wrong? What if I told you that the secret to becoming irresistibly magnetic isn't about your looks, your charm, or your fancy lines? What if the real secret to attracting women is understanding a set of invisible rules that you've never noticed? For most men, the journey into the world of seduction begins like a blind man stumbling into a maze. They feel lost, uncertain, and convince themselves that the key to success lies in looking better, saying the right words, or having more money. The reality is, they're playing a game on hard mode, not because they're unworthy, but because they can't see the rules. They are blind to the very framework that governs attraction, and that blindness is the reason they fail before they even start. The truth is far more uncomfortable than what most men are willing to accept. Seduction has never been about doing more or trying harder. It's not about being the loudest, the most agreeable, or the most charming. No, seduction is an art form. It's the ability to shape how someone perceives you. You see, power is not about being more. It's about making others feel exactly what you intend for them to feel. And when it comes to attracting women, this principle is your greatest weapon. The real secret is in mastering perception, not trying to force desire. Here's where most men go wrong. They give everything away before the game even starts. They think that being pleasing will increase attraction, but in reality, it does the exact opposite. It makes them predictable. Women are not attracted to predictability. They are drawn to mystery, to contrast. But what do most men do? They shrink themselves to appear interesting. They over-explain to appear trustworthy. They reshape who they are to fit a mold, trying desperately to appear more desirable. And with each adjustment, they lose more of their own presence, their depth, their value. Why? Because they mistake attention for approval. Let me ask you something. How many times have you seen a woman glance at you, and you immediately interpreted it as her showing interest? The truth is, a woman looking at you doesn't mean she likes you. It just means she registered your presence. But the anxious man, starved for validation, interprets this glance as, I want you. And the moment he does that, he hands over the entire game. He exposes too much intention, too much energy, too much hunger, and in doing so, he loses before the game has even begun. What's more shocking is that science confirms this psychological phenomenon. Research from the University of Rochester in 2023 showed that men who try to please too quickly, those who rush to impress, are rated as less desirable. Why? Because the female brain links that eagerness to emotional fragility, dependency, and low selectiveness. These are traits that signal risk, not value. And the moment a man looks desperate to be accepted, he places himself in the too available box. He's not challenging enough. He's too easy, too predictable. And attraction? It doesn't grow there. Now, here's the secret you've been waiting for. Attraction doesn't grow in predictability. It grows in contrast. And contrast, my friend, is where masculine magnetism is born. If you're still with me, then you're ready to discover the real power of seduction, the art of shaping perception. But before we get there, I need you to do something for me. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of seduction and take your understanding of relationships to a whole new level, hit that subscribe button right now. Your support fuels more videos like this, giving me the drive to continue uncovering the hidden truths of human nature. Now, let's pause for a moment and get you thinking. Here's a question for you. Which is more powerful in seduction? A. Being overly eager to please. B. Creating an air of mystery and unpredictability. Drop your answer in the comments below, A or B. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. By subscribing, you're not just supporting the channel, you're committing to uncovering the hidden strategies that can change the way you think about attraction forever. Stay tuned for more, because this is just the beginning. The essence of attraction lies not in seeking validation, but in mastering the art of emotional control. It's about understanding that seduction is not an external game of force, but an internal strategy of influence. The greatest seducers in history never chased attention, nor did they beg for approval. Instead, they understood the core principle that power at its deepest level is not about doing more, but about making others feel exactly what you want them to feel. Attraction begins in the mind, and more importantly, in the subconscious mind. When you stop seeking approval and validation from others, you instantly elevate your own value. This is not a tactic. This is an internal shift. It's a transformation of your mindset that allows you to live in a state of emotional independence. You stop reacting to the whims and feelings of others, and in doing so, you take back control of your energy, your intentions, and your presence. Imagine for a moment, when a woman walks into a room, her energy immediately radiates. You can sense her confidence, her grounded presence, and her ability to move through the space with calm certainty. This is the power of emotional self-regulation. A woman who has mastered her own emotional state doesn't need external validation. She doesn't need anyone else to tell her that she is enough. And that is what makes her so captivating. When you begin to adopt this mindset, when you stop trying to win over the people around you, you start to radiate an entirely different energy. You become the one who is unshaken by external circumstances, the one whose confidence comes from within, not from what others think of you. You stop chasing approval and instead let it come to you naturally. This is where true seduction lies. It's not in the desperate pursuit of affection or the desire to be chosen, but in becoming the kind of person who cannot be ignored. It's about commanding respect and attention without demanding it. When you embody this quiet strength, it creates a magnetic pull that draws people to you. They sense your emotional stability, your unshakable presence, and that is what makes you irresistible. This shift in perspective requires a deep understanding of your own worth. When you value yourself internally, when you are confident in your own skin, your presence becomes an irresistible force. It's no longer about impressing others or seeking their approval. It's about exuding an energy that makes others want to be around you, to be near you. This is the power of emotional independence. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that validation is what we need to feel secure. Society has conditioned us to believe that we must seek approval from others in order to be worthy. But this constant need for validation is toxic. It erodes your confidence and leaves you vulnerable to emotional manipulation. When you're constantly looking for someone to tell you that you're good enough, you end up handing over the reins of your life to them. And this is where many men fail, by giving away their emotional power before they've even begun. The key to mastering seduction is mastering emotional independence. When you stop seeking external validation, you begin to understand that your value is not determined by the opinions of others. It's a profound shift in how you view yourself and the world around you. The less you try to please others, the more others will be drawn to you. Why? Because you become the embodiment of value itself, an individual who stands firm in their own worth. True power in seduction doesn't lie in manipulation or tricks. It's rooted in emotional control and self-mastery. Women are drawn to men who are emotionally stable, those who are secure in who they are and what they stand for. When you can control your emotions, when you can stand strong in your own presence without needing others to validate you, that is when you become truly captivating. It is this level of self-mastery that sets you apart. It is not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about embracing who you are and exuding confidence in your own authenticity. When you do this, the world around you shifts. You become the type of person people want to be around, not because you seek their attention, but because you've learned to control the one thing that truly matters, yourself. And in that control lies the secret to irresistible attraction. Attraction, in its purest form, is driven by contrast. It is this contrast that fuels desire and creates a magnetic pull between two people. You've likely heard the phrase, opposites attract. And while it sounds cliche, there is deep psychological truth behind it. Attraction does not thrive in uniformity. It thrives in the space between differences, the space where curiosity is born and where real connections can be made. If you are always predictable, if you show up as exactly what someone expects, you lose the edge that makes you desirable. People are drawn to what they cannot fully understand, to what they have yet to figure out. Predictability doesn't leave room for intrigue, and intrigue is the cornerstone of attraction. When you constantly present the same expected version of yourself, you become like an open book. easily read and easily dismissed. But when you leave parts of yourself undefined, parts for them to discover, you engage their minds in a deeper way. Think about the times in your life when you felt most attracted to someone. Chances are, it wasn't because they were overly available or constantly giving you reassurance. It was likely because they were a bit mysterious, a little bit unpredictable. Maybe they didn't always respond to your messages right away. Or perhaps they didn't always give you the exact validation you were expecting. And yet, it's this very uncertainty that created the intrigue, the draw to understand more about them. Contrast in attraction is not only about mystery, but also about creating emotional tension. Tension is what keeps things exciting. It's the push and pull that adds depth to the dynamic between two people. When you are too easily available, emotionally or physically, you begin to lose that tension. The energy shifts from something captivating to something that feels too easy, too safe, and too predictable. People, especially women, crave a little bit of tension. It keeps them engaged, keeps them wondering, and most importantly, keeps them coming back for more. This is where your energy plays a significant role. When you bring contrast into your interactions, you stop seeking to please. You stop feeling the need to be everywhere at once, to be constantly available or eager to impress. Instead, you create an environment where your absence is felt as much as your presence. You don't over-explain yourself or constantly push for validation. You give just enough to make them want to know more. You leave gaps for curiosity to fill. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about understanding the nature of attraction. The most attractive individuals are those who create this dynamic of tension and release. When you're present, you are fully present, exuding confidence, control, and calm. When you're absent, it's felt and it draws attention. The key is balance, knowing when to step forward and when to step back. By doing this, you create a dynamic that naturally draws others to you. Consider this. When you are constantly available, always showing interest, and always giving, you start to feel like a one-dimensional character. You become predictable, and with that predictability, attraction fades. However, when you withhold just a little, when you don't immediately respond to every signal or every interaction, you allow space for curiosity to grow. It's this space, this contrast between presence and absence, that makes you intriguing. It's the very essence of emotional tension that keeps others on their toes and interested in you. Think about someone who has mastered this art. They don't chase validation, yet they still captivate everyone around them. They don't bend to every whim or make themselves available at every turn. They're present when it matters most, and when they're not, they leave just enough mystery for others to wonder. They live by the principle that in every interaction, there should be a delicate balance between giving and withholding, between being there and being somewhere else. This, more than anything else, is what fuels attraction. In the end, attraction isn't just about what you give, but what you withhold. It's about creating a dynamic that makes others desire to know more, to engage more deeply. When you master the art of contrast, you no longer need to chase after attention or approval. You become the one who commands it, naturally and effortlessly. Attraction is not just a matter of words or physical appearance. It is rooted deeply in the regulation of emotional energy. This emotional rhythm, a concept often overlooked, is the silent force that drives connections. When you truly understand how to modulate your emotional presence, you begin to tap into a power that most men never realize is at their fingertips. This is the power of emotional stability and control, and it is the single most attractive quality you can possess. Imagine being in a room full of people. Everyone is speaking, moving, and reacting, but there's one person whose presence commands attention, not because they are speaking the loudest or saying the most, but because they remain centered, unaffected by the chaos around them. This person exudes an aura of calm and certainty, a steadiness that others can't help but be drawn to. They don't react impulsively. They don't allow external circumstances to dictate their mood or behavior. They are emotionally self-sufficient. They control their energy, and in doing so, they radiate an undeniable magnetism. This is the essence of attraction, emotional regulation. The more you can control your emotional state, the more attractive you become. It's about being able to handle whatever comes your way without losing your composure. Whether it's a stressful situation or an unexpected challenge, the ability to remain calm and measured in the face of it creates an aura of stability that others naturally gravitate toward. It is the opposite of emotional volatility, which is often seen as a sign of weakness, instability, and dependency. People are drawn to those who exhibit inner strength, those who can weather emotional storms without being swept away by them. Consider the way a woman might respond to emotional instability. If she senses that you are not in control of your own emotions, if she feels that you are easily swayed by your fears, anxieties, or desires, she will instinctively pull away. The female brain is wired to assess emotional safety, and instability is perceived as a threat. But when a man has emotional mastery, when he has the ability to stay grounded and centered no matter what happens, this is the kind of stability that invites trust, respect, and ultimately attraction. The key to mastering emotional regulation is learning to understand and control your internal state. This is not something that happens overnight, nor is it something that can be faked. It comes from a deep sense of self-awareness, from knowing exactly how you feel and why you feel it. It comes from understanding your triggers, your desires, and your reactions, and then choosing how to respond to them. The more you practice this emotional awareness, the more naturally it will come to you. You will no longer react out of impulse or anxiety. Instead, you will respond with intention, with calm, and with confidence. This emotional regulation also extends to your interactions with others. Think about the difference between a man who is constantly seeking validation and one who doesn't need it. The man who seeks validation is always looking for approval, always needing to be reassured. This constant neediness is a silent form of emotional chaos. It is unsettling to those around him. But the man who does not need approval, who is emotionally self-sufficient, radiates a sense of inner peace that draws people to him. He doesn't need anyone to validate his worth because he already knows his value. This is incredibly attractive. When you master emotional regulation, you begin to influence the emotional environment around you. You become the calm in the storm, the anchor in a sea of chaos. Your presence becomes a steady force that others can't help but be drawn to. You don't need to chase attention or try to impress anyone. You simply exist, grounded in your own self-assurance, and that is what makes you magnetic. The ability to regulate your emotions and maintain emotional stability is not just a tactic, it is a way of being. It is a reflection of your inner strength, your self-mastery, and your understanding of your own worth. And when you embody this, you become irresistible, not because you are chasing after someone else's approval, but because you have learned to approve of yourself. This is the true power of emotional regulation, and it is what makes a man truly attractive. To truly master the art of attraction, it is not enough to rely on tricks or superficial tactics. The real power lies in understanding and embodying a deeper, more profound sense of self and presence. The key is to be aware of how you impact those around you and how you control the emotional dynamics in any given situation. This is where the concept of presence comes into play. Your ability to affect the atmosphere, the energy of the room, and the people in it without saying a word. It is the quiet strength that draws people to you, creating a pull that is irresistible because it is genuine, not forced. The power of presence begins with one essential truth. You do not need to chase validation or approval. The moment you stop seeking it is the moment you begin to exude an undeniable magnetism. The man who is not chasing after attention, approval, or affection is the one who commands it. This doesn't come from arrogance or indifference, but from a place of emotional stability and self-confidence. When you are grounded in your own sense of worth, others will recognize it, whether they realize it consciously or not. Your energy will communicate more than any words could. It becomes clear to those around you that you are someone who values yourself, and that in itself is incredibly attractive. However, mastering presence goes beyond just being there. It requires conscious effort and control of how you move, speak, and react in any given situation. It's about being aware of the invisible signals you send out, the way your body moves, the way you hold space, the way you speak, and even how long you remain silent. Presence is more than just occupying physical space. It is about owning it with confidence and a sense of purpose. It's about the energy you emit that fills the room without you needing to speak. Think about the individuals in your life who seem to possess an effortless charisma. They walk into a room and somehow all eyes turn to them. It's not because they're the loudest or the most flamboyant. It's because they radiate a sense of calm authority. They do not seek attention. Instead, they allow it to come to them naturally. Their presence is magnetic, but it is not because they are trying to be anything they're not. It is because they are fully themselves, confident in their own skin, and their energy naturally attracts others. This type of presence is built on the foundation of emotional regulation. When you are in full control of your emotions, you are able to project a sense of stability and confidence that others find compelling. You stop reacting impulsively to external circumstances, and instead, you begin to choose how you respond. This kind of self-mastery is what sets truly charismatic individuals apart from the rest. It's not about saying the right things or putting on an act. It's about embodying the right energy. It's about being emotionally self-sufficient and not needing others to define your value. Another crucial element of mastering presence is learning how to create and hold space. This is a concept that many overlook, but is essential for creating attraction. When you are able to hold space for others, you make them feel comfortable, heard, and valued. But you can only do this effectively when you have mastered your own sense of presence. If you are constantly seeking attention or approval, you are not holding space for others. Instead, you are demanding that space be filled by your own insecurities and needs. But when you can stand firm, when you can remain composed in any situation, you create a space where others feel safe to be themselves. This dynamic of give and take is what draws people in. In relationships, this principle of presence plays out in powerful ways. When you stop trying to prove yourself, when you stop explaining who you are and what you want, you create a sense of mystery. And mystery, as we know, is an undeniable force in attraction. It's the subtle, invisible force that keeps people intrigued and wanting to know more. When you give just enough of yourself, when you leave room for curiosity to fill the gaps, you engage the other person's mind in a way that is far more impactful than any line or charm could ever achieve. Ultimately, mastering presence is not about manipulating others or playing games. It is about becoming the best version of yourself, grounded in self-assurance and emotional stability. When you can project that presence, when you can hold space without needing to take up all the room, you become the kind of person who naturally attracts attention, respect, and desire. It's a quiet power, but it is also the most profound and lasting kind of attraction. In the end, true attraction lies in mastering emotional self-regulation and the art of presence. It's not about chasing approval or being overly eager to impress, but about becoming emotionally stable, grounded, and emotionally self-sufficient. When you embrace your value, control your emotional energy, and remain mysterious yet confident, you create a magnetic pull that others can't resist. This quiet strength, rooted in emotional balance, is what truly sets you apart from the crowd. The lesson here is clear. Stop seeking validation from others and start looking inward. Your value should come from within, and when you master emotional regulation, you will naturally attract people to you. Apply this lesson in every aspect of your life, whether in relationships, work, or social settings. When you stop trying to prove your worth, others will recognize it without you having to say a word. For more insightful content on personal growth and emotional mastery, join our community at Community Name. Stay updated with valuable knowledge by subscribing to our channel. Your support motivates us to continue producing great content for you.